Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Leilani. You could also call me Lay. Today I want to start a reading romance vlog. I'm currently in the middle of 3 ebooks right now. So the first one is the Bromance Book Club. I'm only about 10% in, but basically, I wouldn't categorize it as a sports romance, but the guy is like a baseball player or something. He's in sports, okay? And he just found out that his wife has been faking her orgasms. Oh no. And because of that, they had like this big old argument or continue to have arguments. So now she's asking for a divorce, but he's head over heels for his wife. And now he's like down in the dump. So his friends pull him in together and they have this romance book club. So he's going to read like this, like steamy romance to like help him inspire, like doing stuff in the bedroom. So far, I enjoy it. I'm listening to the audiobook. The second book that I'm reading, I am probably 20% into it. I started in the first reading vlog I did, so the Hawaii vlog. It's Fake It Till You Bake It, and also semi-sports romance, I'm not really sure, but the guy is a football player. He knows he's going to retire soon, so he wants to have a backup plan, and he loves baking, so he invested in a cupcake shop, but his investment in the cupcake shop is slowly going downhill because he's not making any sales, but he still enjoys cooking, so he's trying to figure out how to make sure his cupcake shop comes alive. Enters in the love interest, who is very snarky and judgmental when she enters his cupcake shop, and he basically dares her to eat one of his cupcakes after she talks shit about it, and there's this tension, but then he's like, I'm never going to see her again, it doesn't matter. Turns out, from the opposing side, or maybe they're on the same team, the owner of one of the football leagues is giving him advice on how to keep his company alive, but on top of that, she asks for a favor and it's like, my granddaughter needs somewhere to work. Turns out granddaughter is this sassy love interest. Liking it so far. Again, I think I'm like 20% in. A book that I'm probably going to give 5 stars if the ending does not suck is called Heartless. It is a small town, age gap, single parent, nanny falling in love with the dad, and it's just so good. It's so good. The only, like, if anything happens at the end, that's the only thing that's going to make me not give it a 5 star. But we follow around Willa, who is in her 20s, and for the summer she needs like a job to do something because currently the place she was working at is under reservations, or renovations, not reservations, and she goes to the small town where her best friend is. Turns out her best friend's husband's brother needs a nanny, but he's very strict on who's going to watch his kid, right? He's very overprotective of his son because of the heartache that his ex-wife has left him. And every time he tries to hire somebody, the nannies just want to be with him and not take care of his son. So enters Willa, no experience like babysitting or whatever, but her and the son Luke have like this fun connection, and they give it a test run, and he's like, fine, you can work for me. During this time, they start forming a friendship and then a relationship, and I'm here for it. I love like how easy it was for them to like get into the relationship. It's like, it's so good. The banter's so good. She's very like outgoing. Oh, it's basically Grumpy Sunshine. She's outgoing. She wants to have fun. She basically says almost yes to everything the son wants, but also like teaches him lessons when he does something wrong. And then the father's very grumpy, very overworked, very stressed. And they just fit so well together. I just love it. So those are the 3 books I'm currently in. If I didn't say, I'm 81% into Heartless. After that, my goal is to pick up some of the physical romances I have because, again, I'm moving soon and I'm trying to read as many physical books as possible to see if I even want to take them with me when I leave. So I'll give you an update when I have one. Okay, so I finished Heartless and I rated it 5 stars on Goodreads. I think I'm gonna give it like a 4.5, 5 stars. But I'm excited to continue in the series. I really like the writing of this book. The romance was great. There's 2 other books in the series that are currently out right now, and it follows other characters within the friend group. I'm just excited. I also picked out 2 books that I have on my shelves that have been on there for about 3 years or longer. So the first one is One to Watch, which a lot of people read. It was like really hyped back in the day, and I picked it up, and it's also like a Target's Club pick, and I picked it up and I never read it, but I believe like she goes on like a reality TV show and is looking for love or something like that. So I have this one, and then I also have The Bride Test, and this is author of The Kiss Quotient, which I think I gave when I read it like a 4-star or 5-star. So I'm excited to read these. I'm probably going to read physically first, so I'm going to read The Bride Test now. My friend's going to pick me up in 30 minutes. We're going to have dinner, and I'll give you an update when I have one. So I'm reading another ebook. That's on me. It's called Blood of My Monsters. It's by Rena Kent, and I've been reading her stuff since the end of last year. Her stuff's mostly like dark romance featuring like billionaires or mafia people. This one is a dark mafia romance, but I'm enjoying it. I'm 70% of the way. So our two characters, it's told in two point of views. It's Sasha, who is basically, well, she's in the military and she's dressed as a guy because she's in hiding because somebody has slaughtered her family, but she doesn't know who, and to protect herself she basically is dressed as a man in the military because who's gonna find her there. But because she's such a weakling, because that's what they call her, she gets bullied a lot until she meets one of the captains named Krill, K-I-R-I-L-L, and he's very grumpy. He's very like to the point, in your face, strict, and she basically asks him for training. She wants to be under his wing so she can learn how to be strong. But during that time, something happens because, again, it's the military, so they're like on missions and stuff. She gets hurt. He finds out. She's a girl. And he's keeping her secret. But then on his side of like drama is his father is trying to make him come back home because like his father's about to die. They don't really like each other. He doesn't want to go back because it's like the mafia world. But then she has nowhere to go, and she basically is like, can I come with you? And she's his bodyguard. Love it. Love it. Very sassy, lots of banter. Love the writing style. It's a very fast read. I wouldn't say this is one of her darkest romances. I would say there's probably like dark elements, but I've read some of her other books last year that are very, very dark. So I'm having fun. I'll probably finish this today. But I just want to give you another update because it's another romance book and I need to pick up my physical books. I just have an issue. But there we go. So I finished Blood of My Monsters and I'm actually going to rate it a 3-star. I actually like the beginning part more than the ending because I feel like at the beginning you could actually see the two love interests like get connected with each other, you know? But then somewhere along the lines, like the last third of the book, I was kind of like, oh, what happened to that connection? Because now it's just like fucking and like yay for fucking and all, but what happened to the connection? What I do like is that Sasha, she is trying to mend relationships for Krill's family because his family hates each other. They all just hate each other. So that's what I do like. It left off on a cliffhanger, so this is actually going to be a trilogy. I think the second book comes out in the summer, so that's what I'm waiting for. But all in all, a 3-star. I think I'm going to read Fake It Till I Bake It now. Mel Reads is doing a 24-hour readathon, so I'm gonna see how late I could stay up and just read that. So I'll give you an update when I have one. Okay, so I have a problem. I'm a mood reader, so setting a TBR is stupid of me, and I should have known. Because last night I was supposed to read Fake It Till You Bake It, and I read like 2 chapters of it, and then I was like, I'm not in the mood for like, it's not a comfy romance, but it's like a cutesy one. And I was like, no, I need another dark romance. So I started another mafia book called Brutal Vows. This is book 4 of a series. I think I read book 2 and 3. I didn't read the first one, but basically this is book 4. It's 2 perspectives. We're following around Rena, who's in her 30s. She is now a widow of 4 years, but she killed her husband, right? He was trash. And she's part of the Italian mafia, so she now resides in her brother's home and her niece, who is 18. Her name's Lily. Don't remember the brother's name because he's also trash. But basically, her brother wants to expand his territory, get more money, and become capo. But in order to do that, he arranged a marriage for his daughter to marry the second in command of somebody in the Irish mafia. His name is Spider. Raina is like, no, she just turned 18. What are you talking about? The dad's like, she's an adult now, and she already knew this from a young age. She was going to be like married to somebody. And Raina was like, before you sign the contract, I want to meet him and I want to approve him for this marriage. And she's all no for men, especially men in the mafia or the mob or whatever, because they're trash. So the father's like, yeah, okay, you can meet him, and then you could get the approval of if Lily's gonna marry him or not. Enters Spider, which is a nickname, second in command, Irish mob. He wants to get married. Basically, his thing is like, if I don't love my wife, she won't be a distraction to his job. And he doesn't want any distractions, and he also doesn't want to be in love due to his past trauma. And this is like relationships with romantic wise and family ties, you know what I'm talking about? So he's like, if I don't love anybody, I can't get hurt. So he goes to meet with Lily, the daughter who he's supposed to be married to. But before that, he meets Raina, and then there's this tension between them, and it's crazy because they both find each other attractive, but they won't admit it. And she is known as the Black Widow because everybody knows she killed her husband, and I don't know how she killed him yet, but how they say it, or they fear her, so I'm assuming it was like very gruesome. But they basically have like banter back and forth, and nobody's ever actually like sparred with her that way because they all fear her, which I'm like, yes, girl boss. So she doesn't approve of the relationship, but then the dad is like, well, I already let him sign the contract, so they're gonna get married. Raina gets upset. She's like, you're a piece of shit, because he is a piece of shit. Along these lines, Lily, who's supposed to get married to Spider, she's 18. She is in love with another boy, right? This is young love. And she's not supposed to be with anybody in general. And Raina catches them in the act, and Raina's like, what are you doing? You're about to meet your husband, just FYI, because Lily didn't know because the father was too much of a pussy to fucking tell her. So then Lily's like, no, I'm in love with this boy. Like, she's like, I'm in love with him. She was like, you need to let him go or your father will kill him. So then Lily meets Spider, and how I see their relationship is like a you could be my friend or like a little sister type of thing. But it pisses off Raina because they're about to get married. But soon, turn of events happens because something happens to where Raina now has to marry Spider, and she's been on the I hate men, I'm never gonna marry again train, as she should, for what she's been through. But the second half of the book is basically them together and working out problems, but not like problems within them two, problems within themselves, because they both have to deal with past traumas. I'm currently 77% of the way through, and I think more stuff's about to happen, as in like murder, because the father is now missing, and I really don't care. I kind of wish he could go. So I also think someone from Spider's past is about to come back and haunt him because of the wording in some of the paragraphs. But I'm excited. So far for me, this book is sitting at maybe a 4.5 stars, only because like there's some sections where I'm like, that's a little bit too cheesy. So I'm having fun. I'll give you an update when I'm done. Okay, so I finished Broken Vow, and I'm gonna give it a 4 star. I really liked it. I think what happens in these types of dark romance books is it's always like, not always enemies to lovers, but for this one, for example, it's like enemies to friends to lovers, and then a lot of action. People get what they deserve, justice, like murder. And then the last like 2-3 chapters are just like over the top lovey-dovey, and that's the part where I'm like, meh. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but basically I'm gonna give it a 4 star. And I think there's supposed to be a book 5. I don't know when it's coming out, because basically at the end of the book for each book that's in the series, there's this mysterious guy that shows up out of nowhere, and he's trying to like build this team, this organization of 13 people. And so far, out of all the books, like he'll ask like the main person to like join his team for the organization called like the 13 or something. But we don't know much about him other than the fact that he is a very good spy, that he is supposed to be dead, and he is somebody who is very useful in the fact like if you need information, like any type. Somehow he finds out about it. So I'm excited to know more. Also, people are texting me, but I need to start reading a new romance. What am I gonna read? I don't know. So I'll figure something out and then give you an update once I start reading. But yep, 4-star for that book. Okay, so I started reading The Bride Test, and I also picked up the audiobook. I'm on page 59, and I'm not liking it. And I feel bad for saying it for some reason. Like, I'm not enjoying my stay here, because there's a lot of people, like booktubers or friends that I know, that rated this like 4 to 5 stars. I don't see it. I don't. And I feel bad. So basically, we follow around 2 perspectives again. And there's Kai. Prologue enters. He's a young boy. He's at a funeral for his friend, but he's not crying. He notices that he's not crying. And then he observes around him, like, everyone's distraught and heartbroken, and he's thinking to himself, is something wrong with him because he's not feeling the same complex emotions as everybody else? Turns out he's autistic. Okay? And then it jumps to chapter 1. This is whatever many years later. We're in a different perspective of a woman named, I think it's May, and she is working at a hotel. She's cleaning the bathrooms. She's witnessing these women in the stalls just bawling their eyes out, but she doesn't know why. She goes to them, asks them, are you okay? And they're like, no, blah, 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 but they're also being semi-rude to her and leaving a mess. So when the woman leaves, this other woman shows up. She's older, and she sits down, and she looks exhausted. May ends up talking to her, finds out she's basically looking for a bride to marry her son. Just to let you know, May's in Vietnam, the son's in America. She's like, I need all these qualities for my son. He hasn't had a girlfriend. He doesn't want to get married. He doesn't want to have kids, all this other stuff. So she proposes to May that if you agree, I will fly you out there for the summer, make him fall in love with you, make him want to marry you, right? And if it doesn't work out for the summer, she'll just fly her back to Vietnam. But what happens is, she says something along the lines of, if you guys end up doing it and you get pregnant, he doesn't want kids, but I want you to have a kid, because then he won't say no to marrying you. Like, he'll feel obligated to have a wedding, be married to you. Turns out it was a test. Meg said no. She said nay. She said no, so she left and was like, weird champ. So she goes home, talks to her mom, and her mom's like, why'd you do that? Why'd you turn it down? Like, the man's attractive. You could go to America. You need to find a father for your daughter. Because in the past, she ended up messing with someone and she got pregnant, but she didn't know that he was engaged. So now she has her 5-year-old daughter, and they're very poor. Like, they don't have any money. She lives with her daughter, her mom, and her grandma. They live in like a small place, and they all live on the floor. And her mom's like, you're being stupid. Go to America, marry this man, have a better life for your daughter. But then also, she could find out, if she could see if she could find out who her biological father is, because she's never met him, and he doesn't know that she exists, because it was like her mom had a fling with like a soldier overseas or something like that. And then I'm like, okay. So then she ends up talking with the mom again from the bathroom, because she was like, it was a test to see your intentions. So like, if you would have said yes to marrying her son, even like trapping him with a kid, she would have said no. So basically, May goes out there to America to stay with Kai for summer. And then I'm like, oh, this is intriguing, until we get to the next chapter. So chapter 3, 4, 5. To my knowledge, I was like, no feelings means no attraction, or no, I don't know. Kai picks her up at the airport, and he basically just stares at her cleavage, and then immediately is like, boobs, right? And then like, they're trying to have like these conversations, but then you could tell there's like a cultural difference, but also like a distance, because how he talks with people, like communication with him is not as easygoing as he wants it to be. But she doesn't notice that. She just thinks like maybe something's wrong with her, so she's trying to, I don't want to say be better, but she feels as though like she's not good enough to meet his standards. So she's like trying to act intelligent, trying to look prettier, even though she's pretty. Um, but she feels like she's a hypocrite because like she misses her daughter, and she's like, if she wants somebody to love her, she wants them to love her as her, because she also basically changed her name so it'd be easier for Americans to understand her, or to like call her by her name. So her name's Esme. And I'm like, okay. But then every time we're in his perspective, which is only twice now as an adult, he just thinks about her sexually. And I'm like, I don't get it. Don't get it. So that's where I'm at. And no, I think I'm gonna DNF this. Because I don't see it in me to continue. Right? Or at least at the moment, I don't see it to continue. If I decide to, I'll just listen to the audiobook, the rest of it. I think what is like a good depiction or something I like out of this is when May, she's actually on the airplane for the first time. You could feel her anxiety, you could feel her anxiousness because she doesn't know English like that, and she doesn't know people, she doesn't go out in the world, so you could feel all of that in her chapters. And you could see like she wants to be as perfect as she can be to like please somebody she doesn't know. But I don't like Kai's chapters. That's how I'm feeling. So I'm gonna DNF this because I don't know. I don't feel like reading it now. So I'm gonna go to my friend's house. We're gonna eat nachos. We're gonna have a reading day or reading night because it's like 6 something, but it's late at night. And then I just gotta find a new book. So I don't know what I'm gonna read. But I'll give you an update when I have one. I read 25 pages of One to Watch, and I listened to the audiobook. I don't like it simply because like there's like interview formats and then like text message formats, and I don't like the timestamps of those. Also, during the interview, it sounded very monotone. But this is Beatrice Baby. She is plus size, and she runs a blog for plus size women regarding fashion, and she is now well known in that industry. But basically, currently, she has up with an old friend she had a crush on, and he has a fiance, and they end up getting drunk and having sex, and now he ghosted her. So that's where I'm at. She is probably going to get a call soon to enter like the reality TV show, kind of like The Bachelorette. But I'm gonna give it to 100 pages. If I don't like it by then, I'm probably not gonna like it at all. But it's like the writing style, not like what's happening in the book. So I'm trying not to do enough, but I'll give you an update when I have one. Okay, I just got home. It's 12 a.m. and I'm gonna give you an update. It's not a good one, I'm afraid to tell you. One to Watch. Read 102 pages, and I've been listening to it on audiobook so I could do my puzzle. Also, people are like running around upstairs. I don't know. It's too late for that. So if you hear like footsteps on the ceiling, it is upstairs. Let me tell you a few things that I've learned about myself. 1. Formatting in books is very important to me to keep me engaged inside the story. For example, the formatting in here comes in regular, like text as a book, but then it's like text messages, blogs, podcasts, interviews, and stuff like that. And for some reason, it was just throwing me out when I was just listening to it. I was like, I'm not here for it. Also, I thought this was going to be a comfy, fluffy romance. No, this is not that. And this is basically like a social media experiment. Like, think of it like that, like a social experiment where we follow Bae, and she's about to be the first plus size person on essentially The Bachelorette. It's called Main Squeeze. And you get live reactions from people, and they tweet and they comment. So you get to hear hate comments, you get to see how it affects her. And I wasn't ready for that, right? as in the fact like there's the essential like, oh my god, you're fat, or oh, you're unhealthy, or stuff like that. Like that is a no-go, right? But then it gets worse. For example, there's a person who posts and he's like, it pisses me off. He's like, I'm trying not to smile because it's so irritating. He says, I will R word you to shut your mouth. And then another comment goes under it and it's like, oh, you don't need to do that because like she'll just say yes to have sex with you because she's fat and she doesn't get anything. And I'm like, you two are fucking trash. Trash. Get slapped. You know, like that shit's uncalled for. And I don't like that. And I wasn't prepared for that at all. At all. Wasn't for me. Also, I think what this book does is like a good depiction of social media trolls and social media in general and how you build a following or lose a following. One of the things is like there's podcast people in here like commenting on Bay and like her being the first plus size person out there. And then you know those podcasts where men decide like, I'm not even gonna, you know, trash men. That's what I'm gonna call them. Anyways, those are like 100% like accurate. Like the podcast segments here, I'm like, yeah, men are trash. Not even men. There's people who are trash in general. Like people who talk shit about other people's looks and appearances are trash. Nobody asks for your opinion. Shut your face. Right? I'm upset. It's 12 a.m. But that's where I'm at in the book. I'm also now knowing, because I decided to read a few reviews, this is not a romance book. Literally thought it was going to be like a super romance book because it's like she's gonna be on a show about finding love. Turns out it's not like that. And mainly the comments I read were like, the actual show is boring. Like they were bored during that segment. But when the reunion happened, that's the stuff they like. So I did read the reunion section. So that means I skipped. So I know spoilers. I know what I know now. And I'm hoping like in the book she finds self-love because you could tell like she's very in her head and insecure about herself. And it makes sense, especially if you have to deal with people who are negative to you. So I hope like throughout the journey she gets the self-love she wants or needs. But this is not what I need in my life because I am getting upset. I'm getting heated. So I'm actually DNFing that for that reason. Like I don't need that. I don't need it. So I'm hoping maybe it's a soft DNF at this point, but I'm not going to read it for the rest of this vlog. So that's 2 books that I've DNF'd that I physically own. Yeah, so now I gotta figure out what else I'm gonna read next. So I still have to read like Romance Book Club. I still have that one I have left, and then I still have to finish Fake It to Your Bake It. But I want to try another physical romance read if I can find one. So I'm going to sleep. I'm gonna go do my night routine. And I'll see you when I see you. Good night. Okay, so I have a problem. I know this. I started and completed another book that it was not on my TBR. So I started Throne Princess by L.J. Sheehan. I've decided this is my last book from them because I've read multiple books from them and it's always a 3-star or less, including this book. And it sucks because the reason why I picked this up, it's my favorite trope in romance, which is bodyguard romances. I gave this book a 1 star. Okay, that's where I'm at. 1 star. So we follow around Holly, who is Holly Haley, something like that. She is 21 years old. She has been in the tabloids for Wild and Out, and she is the daughter of a former president. So because she's always in the tabloids, it is now like causing a distraction and putting a bad reputation on her family, who don't really talk to her, don't really care, or think she exists. So because of this, her father decides to go to a security organization, find this guy, actual name is Ransom, government name Ransom, and decides to hire him, and only him, because he is someone who is very bold, unfeeling, uncaring. In your face, if you cry, he'll just walk away. He doesn't care. So he hires him to basically live with Holly or Haley. I don't actually know. I can't remember anyone's names. So they live together now, and he's very demanding. So his goal isn't even to protect her, but it's to keep her in line and make sure she doesn't do dumb shit. But how he acts and treats her is like she's 5. So he like takes away her phone, locks her in the room, calls her a brat, and all this other stuff. Because he thinks she's stuck up and bratty, and he mentions it. She thinks he's an asshole, which he is. And it's very like, what is not, it's not enemies to lovers, because they're not actually enemies. They don't know each other. I don't know, rivals to lovers, maybe. Through this book, you find out they both have trauma separately. You find out randomly that he's from, he used to be in Central Intelligence, the CIA, and his last job was like a job with the mafia, and somehow there's like a little mafia section in this book, which I thought was completely left field. Like, why is it here? But I was like, okay. And every problem that shows up, like, it's like, oh, you know something's about to build up, and then finally when something is ready to explode, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It just, it happens, and then it's done. And I'm like, wow. So this book was very lacking. I didn't feel anything for any of the characters. I feel like this book is going to fizzle out of my memory. But I'm kind of sad because it is a bodyguard romance, and I'm looking for more bodyguard romances. But other than that, I need to start Romance Book Club. I only have 2 more days with it, with the library. And then also, Fake It Till You Bake It. I'm going to say for a different vlog. 1, all my books on my iPad deleted. Like the books I own and not on Kindle Unlimited. My books just deleted. So I got to figure out where they went. And then 2, Blackathon announcement just came out, and Fake It Till You Bake It is going to be one of their group reads out of the 3 group reads they have. I'm going to do that. So the next time you see me, it's hopefully the last update of me actually reading Romance Book Club. Bye. Called The Hate Sick Diaries. It is a romance series. I believe this is book 5 of said romance series. And the reason why I picked this book up was because of a quote that I saw on Twitter. Unfortunately, I'm giving this a 2-star. I did not care for some of the writing. The pacing was a little off. There's a lot of repetitive scenes, a lot of repetitive words, and it could have used a little bit more editing. I also think like the characters are kind of forgettable. Some of the scenes are kind of forgettable. But essentially we follow around Echo and Rain, and they've known each other as kids, and you can tell they're about to form a friendship until Rain's best friend comes, named Lucas, and he enters the picture, and he decides he has a crush on Echo. And Rain is someone who is labeled as the rebel, the troublemaker, and Echo is labeled as like the good girl and listens to everybody and follows all the rules. So Rain decides to let his best friend date Echo, but he has distanced himself because you could tell he likes her, and he's basically being rude to her because he knows she doesn't deserve him, but she deserves his best friend. So he's basically self-sabotaging everybody. But a few years passed, and Echo is still in a relationship with Lucas. She starts feeling suffocated in this relationship, and one night Rain enters her bedroom window. They have a conversation, and then they end up kissing. Once they start kissing, Lucas walks in on them in the room, and everything spirals after that. They break up. Like the relationship with Echo is broken up, the relationship with Rain is broken up. A few years later, or a few years have passed, Lucas is spiraling, but he has to come back to his hometown because his father is dying. And Echo is semi-spiraling as well because she feels all this guilt. She's still in love with Lucas, and when he comes back home, she's like, I want to fix everything. I want to make sure he's happy. She wants to please him. She's still in love with him, so she wants to get back together. And Rain decides to set aside his happiness and decides to help Echo try to be with his best friend again. They form a friendship, and then eventually a deeper connection, and then a relationship. But throughout the story, you notice who's actually the right fit for who are trash, like some people you don't want to be talking to, and then there's a lot of like drama. But again, this is a 2-star book. I don't think I'm gonna read any other books in the series because this book came out last month, And if I don't like the recent writing, I most likely won't like the previous writing. So I finished Romance Book Club. It's sitting around like a 3.5, 4-star book. I listened to it on audiobook. I really enjoyed it. Basically, we're following around Gavin and Thea, who are a married couple, but Thea is asking Gavin for a divorce. Initially, she asked for a divorce because Gavin finds out that she's been faking her orgasms, and he up and left without communication, and then he just distanced himself. But you find out during the book that they've both been holding on to a lot of baggage, holding on to like stuff that happened in their past, and it creates like the space that they already had. And she wants a divorce because she doesn't want to have her life play out how her parents' life has. So the journey, you learn more about her past, you learn about Gavin's past, being bullied because he is someone who has a stutter. But basically, they met when they were younger. They fell in love fast. They ended up getting pregnant. They got married within that month. And right after they got married, Gavin got accepted to Major League Baseball, and he's always on the road. So he's missed a lot of occasions with his kids, with Thea. So there's just a lot of distance between them. And it's just them recognizing why they love each other, but also building a new relationship. And through that, Gavin starts hanging out with his teammates who also have wives or are in a relationship, and they have a romance book club because romance books are helping them understand women and what they want and what they need. And listening to the audiobook, it's kind of cool because there's certain chapters that are dedicated to the romance book that Gavin's reading, and I just enjoyed it a lot. So it's a 3.5, 4-star book. I know I want to read the second book for sure because we're going to be following around Thea's sister, and I kind of like her. But that concludes this reading vlog that has been happening forever, and I should have posted it in February, but I've been lacking. But I'm going to read Fake It Till You Bake It for the other reading vlog that I already started that I need to complete, which is Blackathon, because they had that as their book group stuff. So there's 3 books I'll be reading there. Fake It Till You Bake It will be in that vlog. If you enjoyed the video, please like it. Leave a comment if you want. If there's any recommendations you want me to read that are romance books, let me know. But I'll see you in my next video. Bye.